What's up, Durham? This is so exciting. Hi, I'm Jillian. I'm the Mayor Pro Tem here in Durham, and as of this morning, I am one of the North Carolina state co-chairs for the Bernie campaign. So excited. Yes. Y'all, if you went back in time a few years and told me that one day I'd run for public office, I definitely would not have believed you. Like many of you who've been drawn into electoral politics for the first time because of Bernie, I felt a justified frustration with our political system. I felt that our institutions were inherently corrupt, and I made my choices not to participate in those systems. I doubted that they could ever work for me and for the people that I love. And so I chose a different path. I joined the labor movement, demonstrated against the Iraq War, occupied the CCB Plaza just over there, and stayed as far away from electoral politics as I could, making a single exception once a year where I held my nose and voted for whichever Democrat seemed the least horrible. But in 2010, I watched the right wing take over the North Carolina General Assembly, and I saw how quickly our new state legislature got to work dismantling healthcare, defunding public education, attacking voting rights, and passing tax cuts for the rich that would create revenue shortages that they could then use to justify cutting essential services again and again. Yeah. And so I realized that if I didn't want to watch my state and my city taken away from me and the people that I love, I had to make a choice. If we don't run for office, if we don't lead, if we don't go into institutions and look for opportunities within them to improve our people's lives, then we are ceding those institutions to people who will use that power to do harm. And so in 2013, I went and got arrested with Moral Monday, and then in 2015, I took a huge leap and ran for city council here in Durham. So now that I'm on the council, people ask me every day, where are our public resources? Where's the money for fixing McDougal Terrace and the rest of our public housing? Where's the money to build at least three new public schools Durham needs in the next 10 years? Where's the money for the massive investments that we need to fight the climate catastrophe? And the truth is that all of our public institutions at every single level are being starved for resources in this country. And when our shared institutions are starved and cannot serve us, then people understandably lose faith in the ability of them to do any good for us at all. In this context, deciding to lead instead of opting out is one of the scariest things that I've ever done. And the work in front of all of us is to be an active part of the only presidential campaign that is bringing millions of people into the brave and important, difficult work of deciding to be leaders. We are going to make the future, not the richest 1% who are pocketing the resources that we all desperately need. It's time for them to pay their fair share. Friends, I hope that you are ready to do the hard work of bringing yourself and your fellow North Carolinians into this movement day after day, call after call. We can win in North Carolina, but it all depends on what we do in the next few weeks. But if there's any city in the country that can flip an entire state for Bernie, it's this incredible, amazing city of Durham, North Carolina. Y'all ready to win? Let's get to work, y'all. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage founder of Hate Free Schools Coalition, Latondra Strong.
How's everybody doing? I am excited today because I know that it's all in the movement, and the movement is going to make a difference. My name is Latondra Strong, and I started Hate Free Schools Coalition. I wrote a letter as a mom to my school questioning the Confederate flag being in our schools. And sadly, my school officials said it was okay to bring the Confederate flags in my school. When that happened, I didn't stop there. I started coalition building. I started speaking to people in my town. I started the Hate Free Schools. Sorry about that. So when that happened, I didn't stop. I got to work. I started coalition building. We joined with another organization in our community called Hillsborough Progressive Taking Action, and we have shifted Hillsborough. I know for a fact that coalition building is where it's at, and I know if Bernie's gonna win, it's gonna be because of you and you and you and you and you. I'm saying to you that the time out for the old way of doing politics, it's time for the people to feel something, and Bernie has the policies to make a change in ordinary people's lives. That's why I moved quickly when they said, do you want to be the co-chair? Because I know I'm going to meet amazing people like you, and all I'm saying is join us for the burn. We can do this because we've been fooled to believe that politics is all about money, but politics is about the people. It is for the people. And I want to see a difference in my community. I want to see a difference all over for the marginalized people who are paying the price for the wealthy to get wealthier. I'm doing this because I know with everything in me, I could make a better life for my children and my children's children. But it won't happen without everyone in here getting involved. So I say to you, come close to the movement, find ways to work, find ways to be connected, and we're gonna celebrate in November. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please now welcome to the stage North Carolina Democratic Party Vice Chair Nida Alam.
My name is Nida Alam. I'm the Vice Chair of the North Carolina Democratic Party and candidate for Durham County Commissioner, and I feel the burn. When I first met Senator Sanders all the way back in 2015, he was polling at just 2%. Look how far we've come now. I, like many of you, was drawn to Senator Sanders after experiencing trauma and seeing the need and urgency for change. I began supporting Bernie after my friend Yusser was brutally murdered in her home in a hate crime in the Chapel Hill shooting alongside her husband Dia and her sister Razan. I realized that we couldn't stand by idly anymore, that my community's voice needed to be heard, that we deserve to be able to vote for someone we are passionate about, who genuinely cares about us and has been on the front lines of fighting systematic oppression. This political revolution has never been about just one person. It's about all of us as a collective reclaiming our power. We hold the power to make a difference. We hold the power to elect leaders who truly represent us. We hold the power to flip our North Carolina General Assembly. We hold the power to send Tom Tillis packing. And we hold the power to get Bernie in the White House. I know this power is real because I've grasped it and continue to harness its energy. After 2016, I didn't stop. I was elected as vice chair of the state party, where every day we work to elect progressives in our legislature across the state so we can fight for Medicaid expansion, increase teacher salaries, and fight back against corporate tax cuts. I'm running for Durham County Commissioner, where come March, if I win, I'll be the first Muslim woman ever elected in the state of North Carolina. And that is the power of a political revolution. So when we march down to the polls, make sure you vote up and down the ballot and vote for me, Nida Alam, and Bernie. And do you know what makes this political revolution so successful? Each and every one of you getting out and mobilizing. That means bringing your friends and family to the polls, to canvass, to phone bank for the candidates you believe in. Now let's get out and vote.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage professor, musician, and social entrepreneur, Pierce Freelon.
Bull City, how you doing? All right. My name is Pierce Freelon. I'm running for North Carolina State Senate, but I am here today to support President Bernie Sanders. I'm just going to tell you a quick story. So last night I was at First Baptist Church in downtown Raleigh, in a crowded sanctuary with dozens of fast food and farm workers who are struggling to survive off a slave wage. You cannot pay for housing, food, education, and health care on $7.25 per hour. It can't be done. It can't be done. So I'm sitting at this church, and I was listening to folks' testimony, and I saw the Fight for 15 had a slogan. The slogan is respect, dignity, power. Now, I'm a millennial. I grew up in the 90s. That made me think about Lil' Kim and the Lox song, Money, Power, Respect. Y'all remember that song? Money, power, respect is the key to life. Money, power, respect keep you eating right. Money, power, respect help you sleep at night. Y'all know the song? Okay. So obviously, the Lox and Lil' Kim were talking about like hyper-capitalism, but do y'all want to hear the Democratic Socialist remix of Money, Power, Respect? All right. So here's what Bernie's going to do. With the money, we know that 1% of the population owns 90% of the wealth, but I'm going to bring that closer to home. Durham has the highest income inequality in the state of North Carolina. We have million-dollar condos across the street, while 5 minutes away, babies are dying from carbon monoxide poisoning in McDougal Terrace. I'm voting for Bernie because he's going to go for the money. He's going to fight to make sure the super wealthy pay their fair share. All right? Power. Bernie will bring power back to the black community by making HBCUs like North Carolina Central University tuition free and investing $5 billion in infrastructure grants to HBCUs. Trump wants $5 billion for border walls. Bernie wants $5 billion for HBCUs. Do the math. And lastly, respect. Respect is about dignity, universal health care, reproductive justice, LGBTQ rights, and of course, raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour. All right. Now, in closing, we need revolutionary progressives up and down the ticket, and as your next state senator, I will be an ally to President Sanders, but we have work to do. We need everybody in this room to make sure Bernie wins North Carolina. And while we're at it, we need to flip the House and the Senate so we can get more money, power, respect. Let me hear y'all say money, power, respect. Money, power, respect. It's the key to life. All right, thank y'all.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage actress, activist, and national surrogate Susan Sarandon.
Durham. I have fond memories from here, I gotta say. And I am so grateful to be here. Happy Valentine's Day. All of you in this big love bubble that we're having right now. I am so grateful to be here, and I am so grateful to be a surrogate for Senator Bernie Sanders because, thank you, it's given me an opportunity to travel around, and to really get to know our country in a way that I haven't since the last primary, and things have changed since then. Everybody's in their bubble, right? I'm from New York. Wow, okay, I'll take that. I was born in New York. I raised my kids in New York. I have a weird job and travel around sometimes and whatever. But I've been able to go now, and I was in Iowa, I was in New Hampshire, I'm here. Thank you. And, what's going on in this country is really scary. Really scary. I mean, it is falling apart. If you're not in the 1%, you really have a lot of problems. People are falling through the cracks with no health care system. Who knew New Hampshire was the epicenter of the opiate crisis? And Bernie did. That's right, Bernie did. Talking to teachers, sitting down with teachers who are trying to teach our kids, and they've got to take 2 other jobs. They're underfunded. They're overworked. Their hearts are breaking because they're worn out. How many people are in jail for marijuana? These lifelong, too many. We've got water problems everywhere in Iowa, glyphosate, thank you, Monsanto, and these agri-farms. We've got problems here, too. We've got the Teflon plants that are in New Hampshire that have put chemicals into water that'll never go away. I mean, all of these things you don't hear about on mainstream media. You have to go out and you have to talk to people and you have to listen, and that's what Senator Sanders has been doing. Now, yes, I'm choosing to be hopeful because we do not have the luxury of being despondent. And I wanted to just read something from Leonard Cohen, just a quick little thing. Thank you. He, ring the bells that still can ring. Forget your perfect offering. There is a crack in everything, and that is how the light gets in. So we have these cracks, and we're going to get ready for a reboot. We're going to get ready to really have a democracy. We are going to make sure that the light has come in and is going to shine a light on everything that's going on in this country. And we have a man, this is the moment that is not going to happen again. We are not going to have this kind of a clean candidate that hasn't taken any dirty money again for a very long time. Bernie takes our money. He works for us. He is our guy, and now we have to work for him. We know he will fight for us. You are the power. This is going to change from the bottom up. Our purpose is to harness love and implement the demands of justice. And we will do this from the bottom up. We are not going to wait for anybody at the top. It doesn't matter how many millions or billions they can throw around. Bernie has the people's money. Bernie has the people, and he is with us and fight for us when no one else will. I was in a crowd in October in Queens, where I was actually born in New York, and of 27,000 people. Sunny day under the bridge, yep, another New Yorker was there. Gorgeous day and high-powered, Senator Turner, Michael Moore, AOC, everybody speaking, and Bernie got up. The crowd was under the bridge. It was all over. You couldn't see. They were in the streets for blocks and blocks and blocks because the park wouldn't hold. And at the end of his speech, he said, I want you to look out, and I want you to find in this crowd someone that you don't know, a stranger, who doesn't look like you, maybe doesn't pray like you, who maybe is a different color, and I want you to tell me that you will fight for them as hard as you'll fight for yourself. That was such a powerful moment. Such a moving moment, because at that point, everything that this campaign is about coalesced. Everything that it was about came down to just that moment, and that's what we are going to do, and that's why we are going to win. There was an interviewer who asked Trump and Bernie, how would they like to be remembered in one word as President of the United States? Trump said, victory. Bernie said, compassion. And I would add consistent to that word, too. I would add the word consistent, because he has been fighting for these things. He's been fighting and identifying climate catastrophe since the 80s. And do you remember during the last debate when asked on the stage, everyone was asked on the stage what they considered the biggest threat to the American people, and he said climate, and everybody laughed? Not us. Not us. And how about when he ran headfirst and embraced the Green New Deal when everybody everybody else was like, these kids, get them out of the office. Oh, eyeballs rolling. And now look what has happened with the Green New Deal. The same thing that has happened with the $15 minimum wage and Medicare for all. This man has put those things on the debate stage in a way that everybody had to deal with them. So he has already made a change. He's the only candidate that is for real systemic change, not little itsy bitsy, we'll do it in 2 years, we'll incrementally nothing change. He means real systemic change. And we are in an emergency, and that is what we need now. And for those who lack the will, the fight, the interest to get it done and say that it's impossible, I just want to give you one more quote from Muhammad Ali. The great Muhammad Ali. He said, impossible is just a big word thrown around by small men who find it easier to live in the world they've been given than to explore the power they have to change it. Impossible is not a fact. Impossible is an opinion. Impossible is not a declaration, it is a dare. Impossible is potential, impossible is temporary. Impossible is nothing, and we are going to take that dare and we are going to make it happen. It is happening now. You are going to make it happen. We are going to make this happen together, and Bernie Sanders is going to be the next president of the United States, and we will enter the White House with him. And now, thank you very much. It is my pleasure to introduce a woman, Tina Turner.
Hello, hello. North Carolina in the house. Before I get started, I want to give a champion of this great state a shout out, and that's Ashley Kennedy, who leads. Come on, Ashley. Stand on up. She leads the residents of McDougal Terrace who've been fighting to get back. Come on. Oh, yeah. We got champions all around, and she is one of those. How y'all doing, North Carolina? Oh, my God. Only all that we love is on the line. That's all, nothing too big. That's it, just that small little thing, just all that we love. And we can, my grandmother, who's from the South, used to have a saying that we can show them better than we can tell them. Hello, somebody. And what we are going to do is show the elites in this country and the so-called power class in this country that the workaday people from all walks of life are going to come together and change the dynamics of this country. Hello, somebody. So, a sister got a few notes. I don't usually speak from notes, as you guys know, but I got a few points that I must make. So, FDR, y'all may remember him. In the 1930s, he was bumping up against the same challenges that Senator Sanders is bumping up against. The elites of his day, they hated him. And why did they hate him? I'm glad that you asked. They hated him because he was a champion of the people. He was standing up for the people and not the moneyed interests of his time. And he mentioned in a speech, he said, I welcome their hatred. In the 21st century, we have a champion that's similar, and we welcome their hatred. Now, why did they hate President FDR? Well, I'm glad you asked. In 1944, the Economic Bill of Rights President FDR proposed, and it was this: right to a job, right to a living wage, right to affordable housing, right to quality education, right to a secure retirement, right to decent health care. Who does that sound like? Hello, somebody. Now, I just got to ask you, sisters and brothers, what's wrong with that? And it just boggles my mind that we have talking heads and elites in this country who want to deny you what they want for their own family. Hello, somebody. Now, we don't need folks running to be the president of the United States of America who do not believe that the rainbow mosaic in this country, the workaday people of this nation, deserve better than what they are getting. North Carolina, answer me this: how do we go from yes we can to no we can't? Hello, somebody. We're not going. We're not going to do yes we can and then all of a sudden have all these Democrats that's bantying President Obama's image on their commercials. Hello, somebody. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, they supported stop and frisk. Hello, somebody. Hemming up black men and black boys, hunting them down, and then redlining. And then they think that they can buy this election. Well, I got news for them. We are not for sale. And to the black community in particular, when folks are in power, look at what they do with that power. This person would not be apologizing but for the fact that he's running for president of the United States of America. He is a billionaire, and he don't give a fill in the blank about the working class people of this nation. You're not going to hem up black and brown folks like that. Redlining. He out there quoted as saying, we don't arrest white folks enough, or we arrest white folks too much and minorities not enough. Do you want that person to be the next president of the United States of America? Oh no, we're not going to take that. So we're not for sale. And so to all of us, the rainbow mosaic of humanity, but especially to my community, anybody that is in power that would use that power to push that kind of bigotry and to expose that you believe that black folks are somehow more criminal than anybody else, and you got your police department out on the hunt, knowing how much hell my community has caught during the history of this country, which is rooted in racism and bigotry. Something is wrong with you. We not for sale. Now, in Black History Month, I think a sister can get a little leeway. Hello, somebody. Now, meanwhile, back to my notes. Back in 1963, the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. demanded that workers be paid a living wage. He demanded adequate and integrated education. He demanded decent and affordable housing. He demanded a federal jobs program in order to create full employment in this country. North Carolina, who does that sound like? So we only got one candidate that doesn't just go out during MLK Day and quote the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. You can quote the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., but how many of you are willing to walk in his footsteps? Hello, somebody. And all this talk about democratic socialism, you got Democrats in the elites trying to blunt the senator with this, but the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and some other great folks that we celebrate in this nation, they were democratic socialists. Hello, somebody. Dr. King put this nation on notice before he was assassinated. He talked about militarism, materialism, poverty, and racism. Hello, somebody. So you can't keep talking about this half-measure stuff. Now, North Carolina, I want you to pretend with me that you are in the middle of an ocean. And if you were drowning, Would you want somebody come to your rescue talking about what's practical? I'm going to practically hand you out a raft to save your life. Or do you want somebody to be radical about coming out to save you? Hello, somebody. Hello, somebody. Always got enough money to bail out Wall Street. Can't put a down payment on Main Street. But we're going to change that with our candidate. He stands for the people. Judge somebody for what they have done, what they will do, and what their vision is for the future. And Senator Bernie Sanders, in the words of Dr. Cornel West, has been a long-distance runner for justice. Hello, somebody. So you deserve better than what you're getting, and don't let nobody tell you otherwise. So sisters and brothers in North Carolina, can you raise one hand for yourself? Raise another hand for somebody else. The great Dr. Maya Angelou once said, have the courage to stand up for yourself and then the courage to stand up for somebody else. With these hands, we will have Medicare for all. With these hands, we will have college for all. With these hands, we will cancel student debt. With these hands, we will cancel medical debt. With these hands, we will reform a legal system that is corrupt and immoral and racist. With these hands, we will legalize marijuana. With these hands, women will get their whole damn dollar. With these hands, we will have a moral immigration system. With these hands, we will save Mother Earth. And with these hands, we will elect Senator Bernard Sanders, the 46th President of the United States of America.
Thank you. Thank you, Durham. Thank you. We won the popular vote in Iowa. We won the New Hampshire primary. And I'm getting the very strong feeling that we're going to win here in North Carolina. And the reason that we're going to win is that the American people, regardless of their political views, understand that we cannot continue having a president of the United States who is a pathological liar, who is running a corrupt administration, who does not respect our Constitution or democracy, who thinks that he is above the law, who is a racist, a sexist, a homophobe, a xenophobe, and a religious bigot. And those are his good qualities. And the other reason that we're going to win is, I think, all across this country, people understand there is something wrong when we have a corrupt political system that allows billionaires to buy elections. Now, we may be old-fashioned. What we believe in is democracy, one person, one vote, not billionaires buying elections. And what we also believe in is an economy that works for all of us, not just the 1%. Now, you don't hear this talked about much in Congress, and you're not going to see it much in the media. But the fact is that today in America, you got 3 people owning more wealth than the bottom half of American society. You got the top 1% owning more wealth than the bottom 92%. And at a time when in North Carolina and in Vermont and all over this country, you got millions and millions of people who are working 2 or 3 jobs in order to feed their families, 49% of all new income goes to the top 1%. Trump tells us the economy is doing well. Well, he's right if you are a billionaire. It ain't doing so well if you're one of the half of American workers who are living paycheck to paycheck. So what our job is to create an economy that works for all of us. And I'll tell you how we're going to do that. We're going to end starvation wages in America. Here in North Carolina and in many other states in this country, you have a minimum wage, which is nothing less than a starvation wage. Nobody can live on $7.25 an hour. We are going to raise that minimum wage to a living wage, $15 an hour. We believe in equal pay for equal work. Women should not be making 79 cents on the dollar compared to men. And we believe that workers have the right to join unions and engage in collective bargaining. And when we talk about the future of this country, we're going to be changing national priorities. Instead of investing in the military-industrial complex, we're going to invest in education. Instead of giving tax breaks to billionaires, we're going to have universal, high-quality, affordable child care. We're going to triple funding for low-income Title I public schools so that all children in America get the quality education they need independent of their zip code. And because we believe in the importance of education, we respect educators and teachers and those people who work with our kids. And that is why we believe that no teacher in America should earn less than $60,000 a year. And because we believe in education, we think that every kid in North Carolina or Vermont who has the ability and the desire should be able to get a higher education, college, trade school, whatever, regardless of the income of his or her family. And that is why we are going to make public colleges and universities tuition-free. How many people in this room are dealing with student debt? Please raise your hand. Well, you know what I think? 11 years ago, Congress bailed out the crooks on Wall Street. 2 years ago, Trump and his friends gave $1 trillion in tax breaks to the 1% in large corporations. Well, if Congress can do that, you know what I think we can do? I think we should cancel all student debt in America. And I'll tell you what else we're going to do. We are going to end the international disgrace of our great country being the only major nation on earth not to guarantee health care to all people as a human right. The current health care system, the current system is dysfunctional and it is cruel. We are spending, I want everybody to hear this, we are spending twice as much per person on health care as do the people of any other country. You all know that? We're spending about $11,000 for every man, woman, and child, and yet, despite that huge expenditure, 87 million Americans are either uninsured or underinsured. We have 30,000 people who die each year because they don't get to a doctor on time. We pay by far the highest prices in the world for prescription drugs. And unbelievably, some 500,000 people go bankrupt every year. You know why they go bankrupt? Because they have cancer or they have heart disease and they can't afford to pay off their medical debt. That is cruel, that is outrageous, and we are going to end all of that. Look, healthcare, this is, I believe this my whole life, and most Americans do. Healthcare, whether you are rich or middle class or poor, healthcare is a human right, not a privilege. And the function of a rational and humane healthcare system is to guarantee health care to all, not to make $100 billion in profit last year for the insurance companies and the drug companies. So whether the healthcare industry likes it or not, we are going to pass a Medicare for all single-payer system. And I'll tell you something else. You know, what our campaign is about is thinking outside of the box and not running away from some of the very serious issues facing our country. It's very easy for politicians to put difficult issues underneath the rug and ignore them. We don't. And one of the issues that we must deal with is the existential threat to our country and the entire planet of climate change. Now, sadly, we have a president who thinks climate change is a quote-unquote hoax. Well, in my view, Donald Trump is a hoax. And what the scientists are telling us, and this is really scary stuff, what they are saying to us, of course climate change is real. Of course climate change is caused by human activity. And of course climate change is already doing devastating harm to our country and the world. But this is what they are now saying. They are saying that they have underestimated the speed and the severity of the damage that climate change is doing and will do unless we get our act together. Polar ice caps melting at a faster rate than they had anticipated, oceans warming at a faster rate, sea level rising at a faster rate, drought more severe, extreme weather disturbances more severe, acidification of the oceans more severe, and what the United Nations tells us, if we don't get our act together, by the end of this century, there may well be hundreds of millions of climate refugees, people no longer able to live in their communities because there's no water to drink, no land to grow their crops. What we have got to do is to finally have the courage to tell the fossil fuel industry that their short-term profits are not more important than the future of this planet. And I'm very proud to tell you that we have introduced the most sweeping and comprehensive climate change proposal ever introduced by any candidate running for federal office. And that proposal is based on the outline of the Green New Deal. And what that proposal is about is transforming our energy system as quickly as we possibly can away from fossil fuel to energy efficiency and sustainable energy. And by the way, when we do that, when we retrofit our older buildings and make them more energy efficient, when we transform our transportation system, when we make major changes in agriculture, when we invest in wind, solar, geothermal, and other sustainable energies, we can create up to 20 million good-paying union jobs. And when we talk about an agenda that works for working people, what we intend to do is to end our broken and racist criminal justice system. We cannot continue to have more people in jail today than any other country on earth, over 2 million. What we intend to do is invest in our young people, in jobs and education, not more jails and incarceration. We are going to end private prisons and detention centers. And I'll tell you what else we're going to do. We are going to end the destructive war on drugs. There are some things that a president can do by executive order, other things you need legislation. One of the things that a president can do with an executive order is to make marijuana legal in every state in this country. Now, I'm going to ask you a question. Be honest with me here now. How many people here know someone who was arrested for possession of marijuana? Whoa. Jesus. Anybody know anybody who has not been arrested for possession of marijuana? All right, what we are going to do, I mean, that's the enormity of the problem. What we are going to do is expunge the records of those arrested for marijuana. And when we talk about broken systems, we have a broken and racist immigration system that needs to be reformed. On our first day, we are going to restore the legal status of the 1.8 million young people eligible for the DACA program. Under our administration, federal agents will not be snatching babies from the arms of their mothers. And under our administration, we will succeed in passing bipartisan, comprehensive immigration reform and a path toward citizenship for the undocumented. The American people, whatever their political views may be, are horrified by the kinds of gun violence and mass shootings we have seen in this country. So my promise to you is that our gun policy will be written by the American people, not the NRA. We will have universal background checks. People with violent pasts should not own guns. We will end the gun show loophole and the straw man provision, and we will do what the American people want, end the sale and distribution of assault weapons in this country. Now, I am a United States Senator, and I'm on the floor of the Senate, and I hear a lot of speeches from my conservative Republican colleagues. And their mantra is that they believe in small government, they believe in getting the government off the backs of the American people. And I say to those hypocrites, if you believe in getting the government off the backs of the American people, understand that it is women who have the right to control their own bodies, not the government. So here we are in the most consequential presidential election in the modern history of this country, if not in the entire history of this country. And what our campaign is about, as I mentioned, is defeating a very, very dangerous president who is undermining democracy, who has no respect for the Constitution, who thinks that the free media is an enemy of the people, who thinks that the Congress does not have a right to have oversight over his administration, who is now busy attacking the judiciary. All right. Furthermore, we have a president who is running a corrupt administration. And I know that not everybody in North Carolina agrees with everything that I say. I got it. But I hope that we can all agree that that kind of person should not and must not win a second term. But our campaign is not just about beating Trump. Our campaign is putting together an unprecedented, multi-generational, multi-racial coalition of millions of people. Now, I understand that some of our opponents are billionaires and they're buying the airwaves. I got it. Others of our opponents get, lots and lots of money from billionaires. What makes our campaign different is not only the unprecedented level of grassroots support that we have, it is how we raise our funding. And I'm very proud to tell you this, I really am, that we have received more campaign contributions, almost 7 million, from more Americans, over 1.5 million, than any candidate in the history of American politics. So I do understand, I do understand the power of the billionaire class. I understand that they have unlimited amounts of money. But at the end of the day, if we stand together and we do not allow Trump and his friends to divide us up based on the color of our skin or where we were born or our sexual orientation or our religion or our agenda, if we stand together as one people, we will not only defeat Trump, we will transform this country. Nope, it ain't Bernie, it is all of us. We are in this together. The message of our campaign, as you all know, is us, not me. Is us, not me. And the reason for that is pretty simple, is that we reject Trump's definition of what the good life is about. What he believes is that what the good life is about is making as much money as you can, becoming a billionaire, stepping on everybody, lying and cheating and stealing. That's his understanding of what life is about. We reject that. We understand that we are stronger human beings when we reach out to each other. When your family, look, every family in America has got a problem, believe me, all right? And we are stronger when your family helps my family and when my family helps your family, when we understand we are in this together. And we also understand, if we know American history, that real change never, ever takes place from the top on down, always from the bottom on up. That is the history of the labor movement. It's the history of the civil rights movement. It is the history of the women's movement. It is the history of the gay rights movement. It is the history of the environmental movement. And what that means is the only time that real change takes place is when millions of people stand up and look around them and say, the status quo is not working, we want change. So brothers and sisters, this is a campaign of change. This is a campaign of justice. This is a campaign of economic justice, social justice, racial justice, environmental justice. This is a campaign which uniquely is prepared to take on Wall Street, the insurance industry, the drug companies, the fossil fuel industry, the military-industrial complex, the prison industrial complex, and the whole damn 1%. Now, you know, as I think all of you know, we're getting the establishment just a little bit nervous. They look around and they say, oh my God, people are beginning to stand up and fight for justice. People want decent wages, decent education. People want the rich and the powerful to start paying their fair share of taxes. People believe that health care is a human right. People want to address the crisis of climate change, want to end a broken criminal justice system and a broken immigration system, and protect a woman's right to control her own body. Well, the establishment is getting nervous. That is a good thing. Let us go forward. Let's win here in North Carolina. Let's win the nomination. Thank you all very much.